The following is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome, Deadites, to part 12 of What If Izuku Midoriya, or rather, Izuku Bakugo, had a quirk. Last time, Izzy had to deal with a teenager that was experiencing quirk misfiring. Since both he and Spitfire were on the scene already, the situation was neutralized before it could get really bad. However, Izzy left the boy's twin with a tantalizing offer, and that's what we'll pick up. So, how would you like to be the new high droid? The young girl's eyes went wide at the offer. Izzy is no idiot, and could tell she was all in on this idea. Yes, sir. I would be honored to take that mantle. She gave a deep bow, and Izzy just looked at her. Izzy shook his head, and while his daughter was unceremoniously hauling the girl's brother, who had been dubbed Rictor, as they made their way back to the group, Izzy made a realization.
I don't know the bloody names.
I was waiting for you to realize that, Izzy. I can do a quick search if you want.
Nah. I'll do this officially. So, it just dawned on me that I don't really know your name, sweetheart. Would-be future owner of Izzy's old vigilante moniker blushed when she realized she failed to introduce herself. She cleared her throat.
My name is Alicia Hartman, and my brother's name is Alex Hartman. As you can tell, we're identical twins.
Some of you may be thinking that's not really possible. Well, I made a point of looking it up on multiple medical sites. It's just exceedingly rare. Not quite as rare as twins with different races, but still rare. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. Well, that's rare. Remind me to keep you two away from Bunny, Izzy says as they walk at a leisurely pace back to the others. Alicia tilted her head in confusion.
Mr. Bakugo? What does a bunny have to do with anything?
Izzy couldn't help but laugh. Alicia, my dear. Bunny is basically my mother-in-law. She's the mother of the woman that's pregnant with my triplets. I need to speak with your mother to establish a live-in apprenticeship. Hey, Spitfire, is he out of it?
Sound like a light, Daddy.
Thank you, Defrag. Defrag was happy to be of help, and Inko was a little peeved that he answered for her. But she'll get over it. Alicia was wearing a smile that was rather hard to read. I'm certain that won't be a problem, but I still need to bring this to my ladies. I don't want to be the one who invites a young lady into our home without even discussing it. However, I'm certain they'll be okay with it when I explain a few things to them. Izzy didn't realize that he was adding to her dilemma. When they got back to the group, relief washed over the faces of the Bakugo family, and then they saw Alicia is so close to Izzy. Everyone, this is Alicia. And the sleeping beauty over there is Alex. His quirk went out of control, so we had to knock him out. I plan on training them up. Recognize him, Mitsuki? Mitsuki took a closer look at the twins, and then it clicked.
Heh. Well, B. Small world. I'm guessing you'd like this to be a live-in type deal?
Izzy nodded his head, and his ladies gave their approval. However, Nana chimed in.
I want in on the training. I can't do too much physically, but right now I could at least put up a course together.
Nana was smiling a very charismatic smile. She lived for this after all. Izzy saw no problem in letting Nana do her thing. While she was still involved with the Ultras, there were enough pros on that team that they could really handle it. Izzy and Torino had it covered at that point, and training a youth seemed to have more fulfillment in it than training an adult that's already got their own style and just perfecting it at this point. Nana had no idea what the girl's quirk was, but if they had to incapacitate the boy to handle the situation, his quirk was dead obvious to Nana. Izzy got a call from Melissa.
I'll be back home in a little over an hour, honey. I've got a rough draft of the item you requested. I've never come across anyone with a seismic quirk, though. So, this will be an interesting project.
Izzy was glad to hear that information. Between the three of them, yes, I'm including reinforcements, they should be able to come up with a solution for young Alex. Izzy was already thinking about suit designs for Alicia as well. That wouldn't be too hard. He used to be Hydroid after all. Now that he took the time to look at Alicia, she was pretty attractive. Her brother was good looking as well. Those two were bound to be a hit when they made it to UA or went to school of any kind. However, that is years away, UA I mean. Another coincidence is that they're roughly Katsuki's age, so they'd be going together if they got in, that is. With as much fun as Izzy was having with this, Rian was having the same amount by shifting to look like she was wearing the suit designs he'd come up with. Albeit, he could do that himself, what with water, but she was having fun and he wasn't about to take that from her. This is exactly what the doctor ordered. Mitsuki takes a seat on a bench, Katsuki to her left, Arya to her right.
Well, hello there. I'm Mitsuki, the mother of that little Spitfire over there. She's also his firstborn. So, do you need to call your parents, dear?
That got her a little on the sad side.
My mom's been in a coma for a couple of months. We ran from a social worker that was trying to separate us.
Everyone looked at Izzy, but Bit popped out.
It's been taken care of. You officially work for Deku Deck. Paperwork is legit, so don't worry about that. Said social worker won't be coming for you. And your escape will be flavored as your brother losing control of his quirk due to the social worker frightening him. I took the liberty of looking her up, and she's trouble with a capital T, Papa. I think she may be on someone's payroll.
Izzy was about to say something, but Reinforce beat him to it.
Thank you for taking the initiative, Bit. We'll deal with that social worker when we can actually prove it. I'm sure she'll slip up eventually. But now that the twins have been registered under our care and employee, I would think she'd be an idiot to come after them. Also, Izzy, I've made a donation to the affairs department, so we're good.
Izzy nodded his head and took a seat on the bench on the other side of the parkway. Inko on his left, Nana on his right. Just as Alicia was about to sit down, training starts now. Make yourself a seat and chill for a bit. We're waiting for transport. Alicia wanted to complain that there was still space on the bench, but her now boss/master made it clear that he wanted her to get to work. So she made a water bubble and sat down. Flex your muscles and work on that fine Quirk control. Make that chair float and keep it floating with you on it. I'll be changing the molecular density of the water in there periodically. Show me what you got, girl. Alicia managed to keep herself afloat for about 6 minutes, but it was tiring her out. And of course, there was the fact that Izzy was messing with her blob every 2 minutes, and she could feel it. At that point, it was a struggle of her willpower versus Izzy's skill, which she knew she was going to lose to, but maybe she could make it work for it. So, I'm not being completely unfair to poor Alicia. I gave her a chance and rolled 9d10 on levels of success, meaning she needed 6 successes, i.e. 6 or above, and she got 4 of those. So I'll say she held on for about 18 minutes total before she couldn't handle it anymore and fell to the floor. Of course, Izzy didn't let that happen and used gravitate to place her in the seat next to Nana. Izzy had a grin on his face. 18 minutes. Not bad. Okay, let's get in the limo, everyone. We're going home for the day. Spitfire, you got Alex? Inko nodded. Piece of cake, Daddy. Of course, I'm being way too nice, and I had to throw a wrench in the works. A few hours after they got home, said social worker had arrived at the massive complex that is Izzy's home. Of course, she was denied entry to the living quarters and was forced to wait in the bar.
Izzy, you are not going to square off with a social worker without your legal representation.
Izzy gave Mitsuki a yes ma'am look, and the two made their way down. The usual bartender was given the night off, and in her place was Toya, and Miki was also there. They now lived in the complex and were treated as D-Tech employees. Luckily enough, they both knew their way around a bar, and this was set up to deal with the annoying social worker. Virgin Long Island decaf for the lady, and a Tokyo tea for the boss man. Toya slung the drinks with deft precision. Give the lady over there a virgin mojito, Toya. I mean, she's a social worker, so she can't drink on the clock, right? He does just that, and the drinks are had.
Mr. Bakugo, I do not know how it is you have become the guardian of those two children, but I find it might suspicious that those children have landed in your lap.
Mitsuki dropped papers in front of the woman.
Now, we don't know who your master is, but we've managed to pinpoint your misdoings as a social worker. These papers prove that you're in someone's pocket at the very least, and have some level of criminal activity. We also managed to trace a few of the children you've relocated, and they ended up with Yakuza. Some are even villains. I have an offer for you. Either you can hand me your master on a silver platter, or...
That's when she got uppity.
Or what? He's a hero. He can't threaten me.
Izzy and Mitsuki were wearing evil smiles.
Coming here with that kind of thought was your first mistake. My man over there spent half his life in the high rise. He survived the world's most elite prison. Your second mistake was coming to D-Tech City after you found out the twins were here. And your last mistake, You assume just because he's a hero, he has to be some white knight like All Might. Newsflash. Izzy owns one of the most powerful corporations in the world, and also this entire city. Do you honestly think that you'll get out of here without a scratch on you, be it physical, mental, or social? You're surrounded, sweetheart. So play ball.
Mitsuki was bringing the heat, so Izzy didn't need to. Talk about ride or die, right? But to top that off,
it would be a shame if your sister found out what you've been doing to get her that heart she needs. She might even refuse that heart. Now wouldn't that be a shame? Like my wife said, play ball or face the consequences. I never claimed to be some white knight. I'm the type of hero that gets Stocko done. If any of that info goes public, you'll probably end up in jail for a bit. And I don't think you'll live to the end of the day if that happens. Loose ends and whatnot.
Izzy removes his shirt to reveal his ink. All of it.
Now, before you think that a child survived in the biggest prison in the world, you are nothing like me. Girl, you will break in seconds and you know it. So let's talk, shall we?
The social worker noticed that she was utterly surrounded. Multiple heroes walked out of private booths. The scariest one other than Izzy was Endeavor. Toshinori would never really play the kind of game that needed to be played, even at Nana's request. She visibly gulped.
It's Shie Hasa Ikai.
If you like that, United States has smashed that like button. Let's go full calling on the notification icon. Ring that bell, baby. And of course, don't forget, go plus ultra on the subscribe if you're not. Now rest easy, Deadites. And remember,
The night is ours.